Alright my fellow agents, welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and today's video, my friends, is all about highlighting what is still my favorite way to farm for legendary loot in the game, especially as a solo player. And the main reason I've chosen to put this video together right now is because I've been receiving your messages here at the channel since the anniversary season began. You've asked me if I have a go-to skill build that I can use on any difficulty, including legendary. Thankfully, the answer is yes, so as we roll into the weekend, I want to take a few moments and go over one of my go-to builds that I use on a regular basis for pretty much every damn thing in the game. Now, as always, we're going to jump right into the details, and if you happen to enjoy this, do me a favor and hit that like button. It truly helps the channel out. And if you want to stay up to speed on all things Division, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button as well. Now, starting with the specialization, you definitely want to use Technician, and you're choosing that for a few main reasons. First of all, you get that extra skill tier, which means you can spec into armor or weapon damage on one of your other pieces of gear. This specialization also gives you an extra 12% damage to drone skill proxies and robotics, and trust me when I say you're going to run into a ton of those on legendary difficulty. You also have access to the Talent Overclock CPU that will give you an extra 10% skill damage as well. And always remember, you need to make sure you have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting a 15% weapon damage bonus regardless of which one you're using. Now, my primary weapon for this build is the Harmony Rifle. This is just the go-to gun that I use when I'm using a skill build. Now, this does happen to be a PvP exclusive, but you can also get it from name caches as well. And the reason it is so effective is because it has the talent perfectly in sync. Hitting an enemy grants 20% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a non-shield skill or damaging an enemy with the skill grants 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds as well. And not only that, damage increases are doubled while both buffs are active at the same time. Next, we have the secondary weapon, which as you can see is the capacitor. This is one of those must-have exotics in the game, and the reason it is so effective is because it has the talent capacitance. Shooting enemies builds stacks to a cap of 40. Each stack is going to grant 1.5% skill damage, and not only that, for every skill tier you have equipped, you're going to get an extra 7.5% weapon damage as well. And because we're sitting at skill tier 6 for this build, it means we're getting an extra 45% weapon damage on this thing right off the rip. Now, another great option is using the Test Subject AR that also has the talent perfectly in sync. Now, one friendly reminder I like to pass along anytime I put a skill build together is that if you happen to use the TDI card custom as your sidearm, you can see it has a skill tier, but to be clear, that skill tier is only active when the weapon is in your hand, so you need to make sure you take that into consideration. Now, moving on to the gear itself, you can see we're running 2 Hannah U and 4 Refractor. And for those of you out there who are just getting used to a skill build or legendary difficulty, I strongly recommend trying this gear set out. Now you can see the 2-piece bonus is 15% status effects, 3 pieces 25% skill damage, and 4 pieces return to sender. Receive repairs of 10% of the damage dealt by your skills, and if you happen to be rolling in a group, your allies will receive repairs of 20% of the damage dealt by your skills. Next, we have the body armor. It's the first of 2 pieces of Hannah U. Now, I happen to be using the Talent Glass Cannon on this version of the build. However, another great option is Kinetic Momentum. Moving on to the holster, the knee pads, and the gloves, they are the 3 remaining pieces of the Refractor gear set. And one thing I'm doing on every single piece of gear is stacking skill damage and a combination of skill haste and skill duration everywhere I can. Last but not least, we have the backpack. That is the second piece of Hannah U. We're using the named backpack, the Force Multiplier, because it has the Talent Perfect combined arms. Shooting an enemy increases total skill damage by 30% for 3 seconds. Finally, as far as the skills are concerned, I'm using one of my favorite combinations in the game, which is the Assault Drone and the Assault Turret. But if you happen to prefer something else, you can use that as well. I'd also like to mention in the gameplay footage you're about to see, I do not have any global modifiers turned on. There are no season events going on either. And the main reason for that is I want to ensure that whenever you see this build, you know exactly what it can do without any special events going on. Hope this helped you out, my friends, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. On that note, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay footage and a few final thoughts. As always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for your incredible continued support. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Hello once again, my fellow agents. I hope everyone is doing well on this fine day. So this is still my go-to farm in the game when it comes to legendary content, especially as a solo player, and that's farming unlimited bosses on any 10th floor in the summit. Now, this has been a go-to method I've been using for, God, I don't know, years now. And the reason I prefer this method over farming, let's say, a legendary stronghold is because you're going to get guaranteed loot every single time you take out the named boss. At that point, once the enemy is taken down, you're going to pick up the loot, go back to the lobby, rinse and repeat as many times in a row as you like. Now, one thing you hear me mention every single time I talk about this farming method is that you do not want to clear the floor entirely. What you want to do is take out the first wave of NPCs. Once you do that, the named boss will show up. They become your hyper focus. You take out the boss, pick up the loot, go back to the lobby, and continue that process until you don't feel like farming anymore. Now, the main reason you do not want to clear the floor is because if you do, you'll be pushed up to floor 11. At that point, you'll have to get yourself to another 10th floor to once again see a boss. And the other benefit about not clearing the floor and going back to the lobby is that whenever you're done playing in the summit, you go play the regular game, or let's say you log out, you log back in, you will always be at that 10th floor, which means you can farm these bosses anytime you want to. Now, one thing you've heard me reference multiple times in this video is getting yourself to any 10th floor in the summit. I do not care if it's floor 10, 20, 30, 40, so on and so forth. But to be clear, if you get yourself to the higher 10th floors, 70, 80, or 90, you will face multiple named bosses at once. But for me, it's much more streamlined to take out one boss and just rinse and repeat that method. The other thing I want to mention is, let's say you're watching this video right now and you're on floor 13, you want to get to floor 20. You can get to that 10th floor on any difficulty that you want. It does not matter. So let's say you want to drop it to normal, get up to floor 20. When you get to floor 20, fast travel back to the lobby, change the difficulty to anything you want. And obviously, I wish you nothing but the best of luck. I think that's all I got for this video, my friends. Thank you once again for everything. I'll leave you with a little bit more gameplay footage, just going through a few more rounds, showing you exactly what to do. Again, I can't stress this enough. Take out the named boss. Do not clear the floor, pick up the loot, go to the lobby, right? Really clear? Good. Last but not least, remember that if you're trying to pick up the bighorn, you have to farm on legendary difficulty because that is the only way you're going to get the weapon to drop in the summit. It's a legendary exclusive. Again, you can also go to, strongholds, but as a solo player, this is my favorite farm. This is what I recommend people try out. Anyway, that's all I got for this one, my friends. Thank you once again for everything, and I will see you in the next one.